The Indianapolis 500 is currently in its modern era, and it could be said that the racing hasn't been more competitive. Since we are only partially through this decade, this countdown will be a top 5 instead of a top 10. Number 5. The 2014 finish. On lap 191, while running in the top 5, Townsend Bell lost control in turn 2. The race was stopped for about 11 minutes to clean debris and repair the catch fence and safer barrier. The race was restarted with 6 laps to go, with Ryan Hunter-Reay leading. The following lap, going into turn 1, Elio Castroneves passed Hunter-Reay for the lead. In turn 3 on lap 196, Hunter-Reay passed Castroneves while partially going beneath the white line. On lap 198, Castroneves retook the lead in turn 1, but Hunter-Reay would repass him on the main straightaway before they crossed the start-finish line. Hunter-Reay would win the race by 0.06 of a second after Castroneves drafted on him throughout the final lap and attempted to pass him on the final straightaway. It would be the second closest finish in the race as of 2015, behind the 1992 finish. Number 4. The 2012 finish. On lap 187, Marco Andretti crashed in turn 1 and the race went under caution. On the restart, leader Tony Kanaan dropped to 4th behind Dario Franchitti, Scott Dixon, and Takuma Sato. Teammates Franchitti and Dixon traded the lead several times until the start of lap 199, when Franchitti passed Dixon for the lead and Sato followed him into second. As they started the final lap, Sato got a tow from Franchitti and would attempt to pass him on the inside in turn 1. However, Sato would lose control and hit the wall, barely missing Franchitti. The race would end under caution, with Franchitti winning his third 500 and Sato getting credited with 17th place. Number 3. The 2013 race. The 2013 race is perhaps the most competitive race in the history of the 500. In the first half of the race, pole sitter Ed Carpenter, Marco Andretti, and Tony Kanaan traded the lead several times, with Ryan Hunter-Reay and rookie A.J. Allmendinger also being in contention. The race also had a stretch of 134 laps of green flag racing between lap 60 and lap 194, when Graham Rahal crashed entering the back straightaway. The race restarted with 3 laps to go, with Hunter-Reay leading. As the leaders crossed the start-finish line, Kanaan passed Hunter-Reay and Carlos Munoz moved into second. As Kanaan was entering turn 2, Dario Franchitti hit the wall coming out of turn 1, and the race ended under caution, with Kanaan winning in his 12th attempt. The race broke Arie Luyendyk's 1990 record for the fastest 500 with an average speed of 187.433 miles per hour. The race also had 68 official lead changes, breaking the record set the previous year at 34. Number 2. The introduction of the Dallara DW12. By 2011, the Dallara IR03, which had later updates called the IR05 and the IR07, was the only chassis being used in the IndyCar series and was 8 years old. The series and chassis manufacturer Dallara would create a new chassis called the IR12. Two-time Indianapolis 500 winner Dan Whelan tested the car at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. However, he would be killed months later at the IZOD IndyCar World Championship at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and the chassis was named in his honor. In the 4 500s held with the chassis since then, passing and closeness of the racing increased significantly, with a record 34 in 2012 and an even greater record 68 in 2013, and the 2014 and 2015 finishes were among the closest finishes in the history of the race. Number 1. 100th Anniversaries. In 2011, the Centennial era ended with the 100th anniversary of the first race in 1911. The race would end with leader J.R. Hildebrand crashing on the final lap in turn 4 after trying to pass the lapped car of Charlie Kimball, giving the win to Dan Whelan, while Hildebrand managed to get his crashed car across the start-finish line in second place. And 5 years later, in 2016, would be the 100th running. The reason why there are 200th anniversaries is because the race was not held during the World Wars. The race would start off on a sentimental note, with James Hinchcliffe qualifying on the pole position a year after suffering near-fatal injuries at the track, and he is driving for Schmidt-Peterson Motorsports, partially owned by his former driver Sam Schmidt, who became paralyzed after a testing crash at Walt Disney World Speedway in 2000. Several drivers battled for the lead in the race, and in the final 30 laps of the race, Joseph Newgarden, Tony Kanaan, and Carlos Munoz battled for the lead, and it appeared that one of them would win the race. In the final 10 laps, each of them and several others had to make pit stops to have enough fuel to finish the race. After Munoz pitted, rookie Alexander Rossi moved into the lead and intended to finish the race with no more pit stops, as he had been pitting off sequence with the leaders during the race. Rossi then began to slow his pace to make it to the finish. As he started his final lap, he led teammate Munoz by about 20 seconds. Rossi then ran his last lap at about 180 miles per hour and would beat Munoz by about 4.5 seconds. With the win, Rossi's car owner Brian Herta had won both the 100th anniversary race and the 100th running race. Rossi would become the first rookie winner since Helio Castroneves in 2001. The current decade of the Indianapolis 500 is not completely done yet, but if the rest of the races are as good as what we've seen already, it'll be good for all of us.